The stars shimmered like 1,000 scattered diamonds, stretching across the black canvas of space. Among them drifted the throne world of the Zoleri Empire, a planet of jagged crystal mountains and cities that floated in orbit, held by anti-gravity fields. At the heart of the Empire's capital, high atop a spire of glimmering metal, sat the alien Queen Zareth. Her throne room was vast, a cathedral of alien architecture, with walls that pulsed faintly in rhythm with her heartbeat. She had ruled the Zoleri for more than a century, her mind sharp, her instincts deadly, and her pride absolute. Today, her advisors had brought news that should have caused concern. Instead, it sparked laughter. "Your Majesty," began High Strategist Vroth, a tall, many-limbed alien with scales that glimmered like molten bronze. "Our long-range sensors have detected an approaching fleet. It is." Human Zareth's eyes narrowed. Humans. The species had been considered insignificant by most civilizations for centuries. Small, fragile, barely able to survive in space without extensive machinery. Yet somehow, these creatures had survived, and now they were coming. "Humans?" she said, her voice smooth and cold, echoing across the throne room. "Explain, are they a threat?" Vroth hesitated. "They are primitive, but there are many ships, and their movements unpredictable. They may pose a challenge if underestimated." Zareth laughed, a sound that vibrated through the metal floors. "Challenge? Predictable? My dear Vroth, I have commanded fleets that could obliterate whole star systems. How could a handful of humans creatures who cannot even survive on their own planet without constant technology be a challenge to me?" The council murmured nervously, unsure whether to agree or remain silent. Zareth's reputation for fury was legendary. "They are small," another advisor said cautiously, "but they have survived against species far stronger than themselves." "Survival," Zareth said, tilting her head. "Survival does not equal power. Do they have weapons capable of piercing Zoleri armor? Do they have fleets capable of standing before me?" Vroth cleared his throat. "Their technology is different, innovative. They adapt quickly. Their fleet, it is designed for tactics, rather than sheer firepower." Zareth's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Tactics, innovation, mere words to cover fragility. Let them come. I will show these humans the true power of a Zoleri fleet. They will break before my ships even reach them." She rose from her throne, her form tall and regal, wings unfurling behind her in a display of authority. "Prepare the star blades. Let our fleet greet these humans warmly." With fire, far across the galaxy, the human fleet was making its approach. Unlike the gleaming crystal towers and immense alien ships, human vessels were smaller, practical, and built with efficiency rather than beauty. The flagship, the Endurance, led the formation. Its hull bore scars from long campaigns of exploration and defense, but it gleamed with pride under the light of distant stars. Commander Eleanor Race walked the main deck, her boots echoing on the metal floor. Her brown hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her uniform was simple, functional, but clean. She studied the holographic map of the approaching alien territory, noting the positions of potential patrols and known Zoleri strongholds. "Status report," she said, her voice steady, calm. Lieutenant Rami Kapoor, the fleet's tactical officer, turned from the console. "All systems operational, Commander. Sensors show minimal detection from the Zoleri fleet so far." "It seems they are underestimating us." Elena's lips curved into a small smile. "That's always the best advantage. Keep our formation tight and watch for traps. They may not think we are a threat, but we know how to make a difference." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, adjusting shields, calibrating weapons, and checking communication arrays. There was no fear, only focus. Humans were smaller, yes, and their technology could not match the raw power of the Zoleri fleet. But what they lacked in size, they made up for in creativity, teamwork, and determination. Back on the Zoleri throne world, Zareth watched through the long-range viewers as the distant human fleet appeared like tiny fireflies. She leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "They are laughable," she whispered, almost to herself. "So small, so slow. My fleet could crush them in moments." Vroth spoke up, hesitantly. Your Majesty, perhaps we should still approach with caution. Nonsense. Zereth snapped. Caution is for the weak. These humans will see the might of the Zolari Empire and understand immediately who rules the stars. Prepare the fleet for a display of superiority, despite the Queen's confidence. There were small signs she did not notice. Within the human fleet, engineers were modifying drones on the fly, adapting their sensors to pick up alien stealth signals. Pilots practiced maneuvers that seemed reckless at first, but were designed to exploit predictable enemy patterns. Soldiers in armor checked their equipment, quietly murmuring tactical strategies among themselves. Elena walked among them, offering nods and encouragement. Remember, she said, we fight smart. We fight together. We may be smaller, but our minds are sharper. Keep alert, stay creative, and don't underestimate your instincts. Every move counts. A young ensign, nervously adjusting her helmet, asked, Commander, are we really ready for the Zolari? Elena smiled, placing a reassuring hand on the girl's shoulder. We've survived worse. Remember what makes us human. Courage, ingenuity, determination. The Zolari may see us as weak, but we know our strength. Trust your training, trust each other, and we will surprise them. In the throne room of the Zolari Empire, Zereth prepared to give her fleet the signal to advance. She imagined the humans panicking, surrendering, or fleeing. A small part of her, buried under layers of pride, felt curious what could these creatures possibly do against her power. But she dismissed the thought immediately. Curiosity was a luxury for those who needed it. She did not. My fleet will crush them, she said, her voice echoing like steel. They will kneel, and they will learn respect, as her ships began to move into formation. She did not see the subtle ways humans had already begun to adapt, learn, and plan. On their end, the humans watched the vast Zolari fleet appear in their sensors, not with fear, but with quiet determination. They knew the odds were against them. They knew the enemy seemed unstoppable. But humans had a way of finding strength where others saw weakness, and so, across the endless void of space, two forces prepared to collide. One, arrogant and confident in centuries of power. The other, underestimated, unassuming, but united in spirit and ingenuity. The first encounter was inevitable, and neither side knew how profound its impact would be. Zereth laughed once more, a sound full of pride and certainty. But deep down, hidden beneath layers of arrogance, a small thought lingered. Perhaps these humans might not be as simple as they seemed. The stars stretched endlessly, holding secrets and possibilities. And soon, the galaxy would witness the beginning of a confrontation that would challenge everything the Zolari Empire believed about strength, power, and the human spirit. The human fleet moved like a single organism, small yet precise. Each ship knowing its place in the formation, the Endurance led, cutting through the starry void with a calm confidence. Commander Eleanor Reyes stood on the bridge, watching the distant blip of the Zolari fleet grow larger on the sensors. Commander, Lieutenant Rami Kapoor said, pointing at the display, they've detected us. Their formation is tightening. Eleanor leaned forward. Good. Let them show themselves. Keep the drones ready, but do not fire yet. We move on their mistakes, not theirs. The crew nodded, tense but confident. Humans had long relied on clever tactics and quick thinking to survive encounters far larger and stronger than themselves. This time was no different. Meanwhile, aboard the Zolari flagship Vorth's Pride, Queen Zereth observed the approaching human vessels. The tiny ships seemed almost fragile compared to her massive starships. They dare approach my territory, she said, her mandibles clicking with amusement. Do they not know who I am, Your Majesty? Vroth replied carefully. Their movements are unusual. They do not behave like other species we have encountered. Unusual? Zereth's voice dripped with derision. Explain, or I will have your head. Vroth swallowed. They do not fly in rigid formations. Their ships shift constantly, almost as if they are thinking independently. They adapt quickly. Zereth laughed, a sound that seemed to echo across the void of space. Adapt? They are tiny insects trying to crawl into my web. Let them adapt. My fleet will crush them before they can blink. She gave the order. and Zalari warships began moving toward the humans, their massive engines burning brightly, casting eerie light across the dark expanse. The humans approached the outer edge of Zalari-controlled space, where asteroids and debris fields dotted the stars like floating islands. Elena's eyes flicked between the sensors in the view screen. "Rami," she said, "deploy the decoy drones." Within moments, a swarm of small, nimble drones shot ahead of the fleet, emitting faint energy signatures that mimic the human ships. The Zalari sensors, trained for raw power, immediately registered the drones as the fleet's main body. On board the Vorth's Pride, Zareth watched the sensors with growing annoyance. "Pathetic," she muttered. "They think they can fool me with toys." "Your Majesty," Vroth warned. "It may be more than toys. Their patterns are irregular. I have never seen such maneuvers." Zareth waved him away. "Irregular means weak. Prepare the plasma cannons. Let us finish this farce quickly." The first shot fired. The streak of green plasma shot across the void, aiming for one of the decoy drones. It exploded harmlessly, a brilliant flash against the darkness. Elena smiled. "Good. They took the bait. Keep the drones moving. They will reveal their formations soon." The humans had planned for this moment, using the decoys. They led the Zalari fleet into a narrow asteroid field. There, massive ships would be forced to slow down, unable to maneuver effectively, while smaller human fighters darted through with ease. "Prepare the interceptors," Elena ordered. "Stay sharp. This is where we show them that size is not everything." The small fighters launched from the entrance, weaving skillfully between asteroids. Their engines left barely a trail, their weapons primed. They moved like shadows, fast and precise. A living wave of coordination. On the Zalari side, the Queen's initial confidence began to falter. Her warships, designed for sheer strength, struggled to adjust. "Commander Vroth," she snapped. "Why are they are using the terrain, Your Majesty," Vroth explained. "Asteroid field, irregular formations. They are exploiting weaknesses in our fleet's maneuvering." Zareth's mandibles clicked sharply, an involuntary sign of frustration. "Impossible," she hissed. "I have commanded fleets larger than their entire species. How can a few humans outmaneuver my forces?" Voth hesitated. "Their tactics are unorthodox. They think differently. They are unpredictable." Zareth's claws gripped the edge of her throne. "Then we shall show them the might of the Zalari. Fire all plasma rays. Leave none alive." The battle began in earnest. Plasma beams streaked across the void, exploding against asteroids or ricocheting harmlessly off the human shields. Elena's fleet remained calm, moving as if every ship shared one mind. "Adjust shields to the left." "Now," she instructed. "Interceptors, target their rear engines. Keep them off balance." The small fighters darted in and out, striking at weak points, disappearing before the Zalari could counterattack. Every move was deliberate, every action calculated, yet it seemed chaotic to the alien eyes. A massive Zalari cruiser attempted to crush a group of human ships, firing a broad plasma sweep. But the humans split into smaller groups, flanking the cruiser and hitting exposed engine ports. Smoke erupted from its hull, and the ship slowed, unable to maintain formation. On board the Vorth's Pride, Zareth watched, her confidence shaking. "Impossible," she said again. "They are adapting." "Yes, Your Majesty," Vroth said cautiously. "They are learning from each strike. We have underestimated them." Zareth's mandibles clicked. "A sound sharper than any weapon. Underestimated? Never again. Prepare boarding teams. We will crush them on their own ships if necessary. They will see the futility of resistance." Meanwhile, humans continued their clever assault. Using the asteroid field, they set up ambushes, luring larger ships into traps. A small human squadron approached the rear of a Zalari battleship, firing specialized missiles that targeted weak points in the armor. The battleship shuddered, alarms blaring across the fleet. "Excellent work," Elena said softly. Watching the progress, Rami marked targets for the interceptors. "Keep their attention divided." Even as the humans fought, they were careful. Their goal was not destruction, but survival and proving their capabilities. Every move demonstrated their intelligence, coordination, and courage. Back on the Queen's flagship, Zaratha's composure was slipping. She had never seen an enemy so small resist so effectively. Her advisors tried to maintain optimism, but even they knew the situation was worsening. "Commander Vroth," she said through gritted teeth. "How do they do this? They're human." Vroth said quietly, "Their minds work differently. They improvise. They adapt. They fight with determination, not just power." Zarath froze. Determination. That word, so simple, carried a weight she had never fully understood. No other species had faced the Zolari with such relentless courage. She could not yet admit respect, but a seed of it had taken root. The first encounter ended with the humans pulling back strategically, leaving the Zolari fleet slightly damaged and confused. They had not won, not yet, but they had sent a clear message. Humans were not weak. Elena gathered her crew on the Endurance. "Good work, everyone," she said. "We've survived the first engagement. The Zolari expected an easy fight, and we've reminded them that humans are not predictable. Remember this, strength is not always in size or firepower. It is in thinking, in courage, in unity. Keep that in mind for what comes next." The crew nodded, pride and resolve shining in their eyes. They were small, but they were clever. They were underestimated, but they were unstoppable in spirit. Across the galaxy, Queen Zarath reflected on what she had witnessed. For the first time in her long reign, she felt a spark of unease. Not fear yet, but respect, curiosity, and a grudging admiration. Humans were more than fragile creatures with primitive weapons. They were clever, resourceful, and daring. She clenched her claws on the edge of her throne. "Humans," she whispered, "you have surprised me. This is only the beginning. I will learn your secrets, and I will show you the full might of the Zolari Empire." And with that, the stage was set. Across the dark expanse of space, two forces had met. One, confident in centuries of strength and domination. The other, underestimated but unbroken, ready to prove that human courage and ingenuity could stand against the mightiest empires of the stars. The first contact had been made. The first shock had been delivered. And the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. Queen Zarath sat silently in her throne room, her claws resting lightly on the polished surface of her crystal throne. Outside, the vast Zolari fleet glimmered against the void of space, engines humming with raw power. But inside, Zarath's mind was far from calm. She had never encountered a species like humans before, small, fragile, yet so unpredictable. The first contact had left her uneasy, not because they were powerful in the traditional sense, but because their minds worked in ways she could not anticipate. "Your Majesty," Vroth said cautiously, approaching her throne, "they have retreated, but they are not defeated. Their fleet remains intact, and reports indicate they are already repairing and upgrading their ships." Zarath's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Repairing? Upgrading? How?" "They are primitive creatures. Their technology should not even compare to ours. They are adaptive," Vroth admitted, choosing his words carefully. "They study their environment, their enemies, and adjust quickly. They do not rely on sheer power. They rely on creativity and teamwork." Zarath narrowed her eyes. "Creativity and teamwork. HMPH. How quaint, yet I cannot deny it is effective." Meanwhile, on the Endurance, Commander Eleanor Reyes and her team were working tirelessly. The humans had withdrawn to a safer distance, but there was no rest. Engineers pored over battle reports, analyzing damage to ships and systems. Pilots trained in simulations that replicated Zolari tactics, learning how to counter them before the next engagement. "Commander," Lieutenant Kapoor said, "we found a flaw in their sensor array. If we deploy drones through the gap in their coverage, we can observe their fleet without being detected." Elena's eyes lit up. "Perfect. Prepare the reconnaissance drones. Let's learn everything we can about them. Knowledge is as powerful as firepower." The human mind thrived in situations like this, where the Zolari relied on brute strength and rigid hierarchy. Humans relied on ingenuity, improvisation, and instinct. Every ship, every pilot, every soldier had a role to play, but they also had freedom to think and act creatively. On board the Zolari flagship, Zareth could not stop watching the reports from her sensors. Human drones had infiltrated her perimeter, moving almost invisibly among the stars. Gathering intelligence. How? She whispered. How do they do this? They are highly efficient, Vroth explained. They learn from each encounter. Even their smallest units can think independently. They adapt to threats as they appear. Zareth's mandibles clicked sharply. They are clever, perhaps more clever than I anticipated. I have underestimated them. That will not happen again. A spark of curiosity lit her eyes. Prepare a study team. Observe them. Analyze their tactics. I want to know how these humans think. Vroth hesitated. Your Majesty, they are still dangerous. Studying them will not make them less so. They fascinate me, Zareth said simply. We will see what makes them tick. The human reconnaissance drones moved silently, recording every detail of Zolari's ship formations, weapon systems, and communication patterns. The engineers back on the Endurance worked day and night, analyzing the data and creating simulations. They predicted possible enemy moves, counter-strategies, and weak points. Elena gathered her officers around the strategy table. These creatures think in patterns, but they are not predictable like most species. We can't fight them like a normal fleet. We have to think 2, 3 steps ahead. Study their reactions, anticipate their plans, and use our strengths, speed, adaptability, and intelligence, Commander Kapoor said. We could set traps using their assumptions against them. Their pride might blind them to our strategies, Elena nodded. Exactly. Every enemy has a weakness. Ours is not strength, it is rigidity. We will exploit that, but carefully. One mistake could be catastrophic. Meanwhile, Zareth observed her study teams reporting back. They detailed human innovations, drones that repaired themselves, ships that adapted shields to enemy fire in real time, soldiers coordinating silently across vast distances without electronic assistance. They are remarkable, Zareth admitted quietly, almost to herself. They do not fear death. They do not hesitate. They learn. They adapt. They think. Vroth looked uneasy. Your Majesty, I must remind you admiration is dangerous. Underestimating them before was a mistake. We cannot allow them to gain more advantage while we are distracted. Zareth's gaze sharpened. I am aware, Vroth, but understanding them is necessary. Only by knowing their strengths can we overcome them. Observe, learn, prepare. And when the time comes, we strike decisively. Back on the human fleet, Captain Elena walked among her crew, checking on pilots, engineers, and tactical officers. Remember, she said, our strength is our ability to think, to adapt, and to work together. We are smaller, yes, but we are not weak. Every plan you make, every decision, matters. Keep learning. Keep watching. We are fighting not just with weapons, but with our minds, young Ensign Mara, adjusting her equipment, asked, Commander, do you really think we can match them? They are enormous compared to us, Elena smiled reassuringly. We may be smaller, Mara, but we are clever. Intelligence, coordination, and courage can do what size cannot. Trust yourself. Trust each other. We have survived worse. The humans continued their study, testing small-scale strikes and observing the reactions of the Zolari fleet. Each move was calculated, designed not to destroy but to learn. They were learning patterns, weaknesses, and responses on the Zolari side. Zareth could not ignore the results. Every encounter confirmed what she had begun to suspect. Humans were unlike any species she had faced. They were unpredictable, resourceful, and fearless. Her pride fought against the truth, but she could not deny the evidence. They are extraordinary, she admitted to herself. Not powerful in the way I know, but powerful in ways I cannot yet control. I must understand them completely. She summoned her advisors. We will assign dedicated observation fleets. Study every human tactic, every movement, every innovation. We will not underestimate them again. We must learn to predict them or risk being outsmarted. Vroth looked at her nervously. Your Majesty, this focus on study, might it distract us from preparing our attacks? They fascinate me, Vroth, Zareth said calmly. But do not mistake fascination for weakness. This is preparation. Knowledge is the greatest weapon we have. Once we understand them, we can strike, and we will strike with precision on the human fleet. Morale remained high. Crew members shared knowledge, trained constantly, and encouraged each other. Even small mistakes were used as learning opportunities. Each day, humans grew more confident in their ability to face a much larger opponent. Elena gathered her officers once more. The Zolari are watching us. They are curious, but curiosity is dangerous. Every observation they make gives us clues about what they think. Use that. Predict their moves, but don't underestimate their power. We are small, but we are formidable in ways they do not yet understand. Her words inspired the crew. Each person felt the weight of responsibility, but also the thrill of possibility. Humans were not just fighting to survive, they were proving that intelligence, courage, and teamwork could challenge even the greatest empires in the galaxy. Zer's single quotes, "Th could not sleep. Her mind restless." Every report from the observation fleets told the same story. Humans were learning, adapting, and preparing for the next encounter. She felt a mixture of irritation and admiration. They are not like other species, she admitted aloud. They are clever, bold, and unyielding, perhaps. I underestimated the human mind. She clenched her claws on the throne. No matter. We will learn, and we will overcome. But I must respect their ability. It will make the victory sweeter. For the first time, the alien queen experienced a new feeling, respect for a species she had dismissed. Not affection, not love, but the sharp, undeniable recognition that humans were extraordinary in ways that raw strength could never measure. In the void of space, the fleets prepared silently. One, vast and powerful, commanded by a queen who ruled with confidence and might. The other, smaller but united, clever, and fearless, commanded by a human who believed in the ingenuity and courage of her people. The first clash had shown the human skill. The study and preparation had shown the queen that they were no ordinary opponent. And now, with both sides learning, adapting, and preparing, the next engagement promised to be more dangerous, more exciting, and more revealing than anything that had come before. The galaxy held its breath, and the human mind, small but brilliant, had begun to shine against the mightiest empire in the stars. The void of space was alive with tension. The Zolari fleet had grown restless, its massive ships casting long shadows across distant stars. Queen Zareth had spent days studying the humans, analyzing every maneuver, every strategy, every subtle signal. She had begun to understand that their strength was not in raw firepower, but in unpredictability, intelligence, and unity. Yet, she remained confident. No matter how clever they were, they could not match the sheer size and might of the Zolari. On the human side, Commander Eleanor Reyes stood on the bridge of the Endurance, her gaze steady and focused. Her fleet was smaller, but morale was high. Every pilot, engineer, and soldier had been preparing for this moment. Every maneuver, every tactic, every small trick had been tested, refined, and perfected. Eleanor turned to Lieutenant Rami Kapoor. Today is not just a battle. It's a chance to show them what humans are capable of. They may have power, but we have something stronger, adaptability. Keep the fleet tight and trust your instincts. Kapoor nodded. Understood, Commander. All systems are ready. Weapons calibrated. Drones deployed for reconnaissance. We are prepared. The Zolari flagship Vorth's Pride emerged from hyperspace, its massive hull glowing with energy. Zareth's mandibles clicked sharply as she surveyed the human fleet below. They are here, she said. Do not let them escape. Show them the true might of the Zolari. Her fleet moved like a wave of black steel, engines flaring as they advanced. Plasma cannons hummed with power, and energy shields glowed in preparation for combat. The humans looked small against this vast force. To any other species, this would have been the end before it began. But humans were not like any other species. Eleanor watched the approaching Zolari fleet carefully. Deploy the interceptors in formation beta, she ordered. Drones to the front, decoys on the flanks. Prepare the electronic jammers. We will use their confidence against them. The human interceptors launched, weaving like threads through the void. Small, agile, and fast, they darted between the asteroids and debris, confusing the Zoleri targeting systems. At the same time, electronic jammers sent false signals to the massive alien ships, making them overestimate the humans' numbers and locations. Zerath watched with increasing irritation. What trickery is this? She snapped. They are not even firing, and yet they disrupt our sensors. How can creatures so small be so clever? Vroth hesitated. Your Majesty, their intelligences, unlike any we have seen. We cannot predict their moves with certainty. Zerath's claws clenched on the edge of her throne. Then we adapt. Focus fire. Do not let them escape. Show them the futility of defiance. The first shots rang out, not in full destruction, but in calculated precision. The humans targeted weak points in the Zoleri formation, hitting engines, disabling weapons, and forcing massive ships to adjust. Each strike was deliberate, designed to frustrate and distract rather than destroy immediately. Interceptors, move in pairs, Elena commanded. Hit the rear engines of the capital ships. Avoid the shields. Timing is everything. Watch for openings and act quickly. The Zoleri ships were massive and powerful, but their size made them slow and predictable. The human fleet, smaller and more agile, danced around them like shadows. One by one, Zoleri vessels struggled to maintain formation, while the humans coordinated attacks with flawless timing. Zerath's pride was wounded. For the first time, she realized that size and firepower were not enough. Humans thought differently. They improvised. They acted unpredictably. They adapted with every move she made. They are learning, she muttered, her voice tight with irritation and curiosity. They are adapting faster than expected. This is remarkable. Vroth nodded reluctantly. Yes, Your Majesty. They are not merely surviving, they are testing us, probing for weaknesses, and finding them. Zerath's eyes narrowed. Then we shall give them a true test. Prepare boarding teams. If they cannot be destroyed from a distance, we will face them directly. They will see the might of the Zoleri up close, and the human fleet. Elena watched the Zoleri movements carefully. They are preparing boarding ships, she said. That means they are expecting us to falter. We will not. Prepare the countermeasures. Set traps in the asteroid fields. Lead them into confined spaces. Their size will work against them. The human pilots grinned as they executed complex maneuvers through dense asteroid clusters. Using small, fast ships and precise calculations, they created choke points where the massive Zoleri warships could not maneuver easily. When the Zoleri tried to enter, they found themselves surrounded by smaller, faster, and smarter human vessels. The turning point came when a human strike team, led by Elena herself in the Endurance, executed a daring maneuver. They split from the main fleet and approached the central Zoleri cruiser from an unexpected angle. Exploiting a blind spot in the alien shields, fire, Elena commanded. Plasma beams and missiles struck the cruiser at critical points. Engines sputtered, weapons failed, and alarms blared across the ship. The massive vessel shuddered as the humans pulled back and harmed themselves, leaving the Zoleri fleet stunned. Zerath's eyes widened in disbelief. Impossible, she hissed. They cannot damage our capital ships. Vroth hesitated. Your Majesty, they have. They found a weakness in the shields and exploited it. It is genius. Zerath's mandibles clicked, sharp and fast. Genius or not, they will not escape unpunished. All ships, concentrate fire. Destroy them, leave nothing alive. But humans were relentless. They used speed, agility, and teamwork to evade the concentrated fire. Interceptors struck from multiple directions, drones created illusions, and coordinated attacks disabled engines without risking lives. Every move was calculated, every decision executed with precision. Zerath watched in frustration and awe. Humans, small and seemingly fragile, were turning the battle around. For the first time, she understood that they were not weak. They were extraordinary. They are extraordinary, she whispered aloud. Not in size or power, but in courage and ingenuity. This is unlike anything I have faced, Vroth nodded. Yes, Your Majesty. They think differently. They fight differently. We cannot predict them fully. Zareth clenched her claws on the throne. Then we must adapt. We cannot defeat them with brute force alone. We must be clever, as they are. But I cannot deny their strength. Humans are formidable. The battle raged on. Asteroid fields became battlegrounds. Plasma beams cut through space. And smaller human ships danced among the Zolari like sparks in a storm. By the end of the engagement, several Zolari vessels were disabled or forced to retreat. The humans had suffered damage, but their ingenuity had saved them from complete destruction. On the entrance, Elena watched the results on the tactical display. We have not won, but we have proven something important, she said. Size and power are not everything. Adaptability, courage, and intelligence matter. Keep the fleet ready. This is only the beginning. The crew cheered quietly, proud of their success. They had faced an overwhelming force and survived. They had shown that humans could not be underestimated. Zareth, however, was silent. She had witnessed the human mind in action, their courage, and their adaptability. She could no longer dismiss them as weak or foolish. They are unlike any species I have faced. She admitted, their strength is not in destruction, but in thought, in teamwork, and courage. I must respect them. But respect will not stop me. We will prepare for the next engagement. And next time, we will be ready. For the first time, the alien queen experienced a new sensation, the uneasy awareness that humans could challenge her authority, that their courage and intellect could match, or even surpass, the mightiest of Zolari forces. The turning point battle had changed everything. Humans had survived against impossible odds. They had struck where none thought possible. And they had proven, beyond doubt, that the underestimated species from Earth was a force to be reckoned with. The galaxy watched silently as the great minds, the alien queen and the human commander, prepared for the next stage of their conflict. One relied on centuries of power and tradition. The other relied on ingenuity, adaptability, and indomitable spirit. And as the stars stretched endlessly across the void, it became clear. This war was no longer about ships or weapons. It was about minds, courage, and the human spirit that refused to yield. The battle-scarred void of space was quiet now, but the tension between the two fleets was stronger than ever. Both sides had tasted the resolve and ingenuity of their opponent. The humans had survived impossible odds, their courage and cleverness tested in every strike and maneuver. The Zolari had begun to understand that these small, fragile-looking beings were far more dangerous than they appeared. On the bridge of the Endurance, Commander Eleanor Ray stood before her crew, her eyes scanning the stars. Their fleet was smaller, slightly damaged, but morale was higher than ever. Every human aboard understood one simple truth. They had proven themselves in a way that few species could. Today, Elena said, her voice calm but full of authority, we've shown that size does not define strength. Courage, intelligence, and teamwork can overcome even the greatest foes. We are not just surviving. We are shaping our place among the stars. Keep alert. The Zolari are learning, and so must we. Lieutenant Rami Kapoor nodded. Commander, the Zolari are regrouping. Sensors show new formations. It seems they are cautious now. Elena allowed herself a small smile. Good, let them be cautious. They are learning that humans are not easy to predict, and that unpredictability is a weapon in itself. Across the void, aboard the Zolari flagship Vorth's Pride, Queen Zareth sat upon her throne, her thoughts heavy. The humans had survived and even disrupted her fleet in ways she could not have predicted. For the first time, she faced the unsettling realization that raw power was not enough. They are remarkable, she whispered, mandibles clicking softly. Not because they are stronger than us, but because they are clever, adaptable, and fearless. I misjudged them. I underestimated the human spirit. Vroth, her most trusted advisor, approached cautiously. Your Majesty, what do you intend? They are not merely surviving, they are preparing for the next engagement. We must strike decisively. Zareth's eyes gleam with a mixture of determination and reflection. Perhaps, but first, we must understand them, observe them, learn from them. If they are capable of such ingenuity, Then respecting their strengths may give us the advantage we need. Vroth hesitated. Respect, Your Majesty? Yes, Zareth said softly. Respect does not mean surrender. It means understanding. Only by understanding humans can we predict, counter, and ultimately triumph. But I cannot deny the truth. These creatures are extraordinary in the human fleet. Reconnaissance drones had been observing the Zoleri in detail. Each sensor, each maneuver, each weapon adjustment was analyzed, cataloged, and studied. Humans had learned quickly from their previous encounters, adapting tactics that exploited weaknesses in the Zoleri formations. Elena gathered her officers around the strategy table. They are cautious now, which is good. Caution means hesitation. Hesitation means opportunity. We will not strike blindly. We will plan, we will anticipate, and we will act decisively. But above all, we must remember our greatest strength, human ingenuity. Every move matters, Commander, Kapoor said. Do we attempt negotiation, or continue testing their fleet with small strikes? Elena paused. We survive through intelligence and action. Negotiation comes only when there is respect on both sides. If we force respect through our actions, then dialogue will follow. For now, we act with caution and creativity. The next engagement began with subtle strikes and feints, rather than full attacks. Humans tested the Zoleri defenses again, probing weak points, and forcing the aliens to expend energy on maneuvers that revealed their limitations. Each skirmish was brief, calculated, and highly effective, Zareth observed from her throne. Each time she thought she had anticipated the humans' moves, they surprised her. They were unpredictable, resourceful, and willing to take risks that no other species would dare. They are fearless, she said quietly. They face what seems impossible and yet do not falter. They are not merely fighters, they are thinkers, strategists, leaders, and they inspire one another. Vroth, unsettled but honest, replied, Your Majesty, we cannot underestimate them. If they continue like this, they may reshape the balance of power in this sector. Zareth's claws clenched the throne edge. Then we observe, we learn, but we also prepare. The humans have earned recognition, but we are still the stronger force. I will not forget that. A week passed, and both fleets remained wary. The humans had established themselves as clever adversaries, capable of countering the Zoleri fleet's strength with ingenuity and coordinated action. The aliens, once confident and dismissive, now approached every encounter with caution and respect. During a quiet moment on the entrance, Elena spoke to her crew. Look around you. Every person here has faced fear, danger, and impossible odds. And yet, we remain, not because we are the largest or the strongest fleet, but because we think, we adapt, and we work together. Remember this. The Zoleri may have power, but we have something they do not, the human mind and spirit. The crew nodded, pride shining in their eyes. They had proven themselves, but they also understood that respect from the enemy could be as important as victory. Queen Zareth, after observing several days of cautious engagements, finally made a decision. She summoned Vroth. Prepare a message to the humans, she said. Not a demand, not a threat, but an acknowledgement. They have impressed me. They are clever, brave, and capable. It is time they know that their actions have not gone unnoticed. Vroth looked surprised. Your Majesty, recognition? Are you certain? Yes, Zareth replied firmly. Recognition is not weakness. It is strategy. If we respect their intelligence, we can negotiate from a position of knowledge rather than brute force. Prepare the transmission. Send it to their flagship. The message arrived on the entrance, not as a threat, but as a statement of respect. Elena read the transmission aloud to her crew. Humans, your courage, intelligence, and ingenuity have been noted. You are unlike any species I have faced. While we remain opponents, know that your strength has earned acknowledgement. Queen Zareth, Zoleri Empire. A hush fell over the bridge. Then, quietly, a cheer rose. The humans had not only survived, they had earned recognition. From one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. Elena smiled. This is a beginning, not an end. Respect has been earned, but the journey continues. We must continue to be clever, adaptable, and brave. This message is proof that our efforts are noticed, but it also shows that understanding and communication can follow strength and courage. For Queen Zerth, the message was more than acknowledgement. It was a lesson. She had ridiculed humans, underestimating them because of their size and seeming fragility. Yet, their courage, ingenuity, and teamwork had challenged her assumptions. She felt a mixture of admiration and curiosity. "They are extraordinary," she whispered to herself. "Perhaps the galaxy has underestimated humanity for too long. We will need to study them further, and maybe even consider an alliance in the future. Strength comes in many forms, and humans have shown me one I did not fully understand." Vroth inclined his head. "Your Majesty, this is unprecedented. Few species have earned such acknowledgement." Zereth's mandibles clicked softly. "Indeed, but few species are like humans. Their spirit, courage, and mine are unmatched in ways that brute force cannot overcome. Respect is not surrender, it is recognition of potential. Let them know this, and prepare for the future. There is more to come." Across the galaxy, the humans celebrated quietly, not with arrogance, but with pride. They had faced an overwhelming force, survived impossible odds, and proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could challenge even the greatest empires. Elena addressed her fleet once more. "Today, we have shown what humans are capable of. We have survived, adapted, and earned recognition. But our work is not done. There will always be challenges ahead. We continue to explore, to learn, and to grow. Humanity is not just a species that survives, we are a species that thrives." The crew cheered softly, their spirits high. They had proven themselves, but they also knew that the journey among the stars was far from over. In the quiet aftermath, Queen Zerth reflected on her previous arrogance. She had mocked humans, ridiculed their abilities, and assumed their weakness. Yet now, she saw the truth. Humans were clever, brave, and unpredictable. They had power not in size or weapons, but in mind and spirit. "They are remarkable," she whispered. "Perhaps one day we can work together. But for now, we respect them. We learn from them, and we prepare for the future, knowing that humanity is a force unlike any I have ever faced." The galaxy, vast and infinite, seemed a little smaller now. To great minds, the human commander and the alien queen had acknowledged each other. One led with courage and ingenuity, the other with power and strategy. And in the balance between them, a new respect had been forged. Humans had not only survived, they had proven that underestimation of their spirit was the galaxy's greatest mistake.